Alright. Welcome to Final Fantasy V, the 4-job Fiesta. My first Fiesta run in particular. Let's get started. Now, this and all Fiesta runs start the exact same way with a fairly boring beginning 30 minutes or so. So, let's see how this goes. Final Fantasy V is one of my more favorite of the franchise. It's sad we didn't get it released on the Super Nintendo, but we did get it released on the PlayStation 1, if you can somehow believe that. It's not a particularly great port, but that was the first translation we got. Which, this one is different. This is the Game Boy Advance version, if you can't tell by the aspect ratio. And 4-job Fiesta is in particular a charity thing, and it's my first year participating in it, where I get 4 jobs. I don't know what they are. I mean, I know what my first one is, but you'll find out later. And those are my only jobs. I'm doing what's called a pure chaos run. Specifically with a Berserker Risk 1. Which means I might get to Berserker at any point. But in particular, those are my 4 jobs. I can't have any others. Which means until the Wind Shrine, that's the only time I can use Freelancer at that point. So once I get that first job unlocked, that's all I got. And you can have some odd runs. One of the most annoying ones, for a lot of people, is a White Mage run because you have no damage. Almost any of the others are a faster beginning. But, as we can see here, things are going on. You might notice some minor differences in the music. In particular, I'm running a modified version of the Game Boy Advance one, which incorporated a lot of the PlayStation 1 music, and also fixed the frame rates on some of the summons. Instead of dropping to 15, it tries to maintain whatever it was set at, which I believe was 60. Same thing with the sound effects. Not that I have anything against the Game Boy Advance sound effects, but it's better from the CD. So there have been known to be some glitches with that particular patch. But here we are, with our bird. And away we go. And here we are. We've got our first mode of transportation already. Boko the bird. He is not an awful mode of transport. Boko the chocobo is capable of crossing rivers, which is not important in the least. Also, one of the advantages of the Game Boy Advance version, the auto run. But let's see if we can't turn that on already. There is that. And everything else can stay. And here we are at the meteor, and someone has been attacked by some goblins. And the unnamed hero jumps into combat. Just annihilates them. Now, we know this is the Princess of Tycoon, but not, our hero doesn't. He's not particularly smart. And here he is, Bartz. Or as we're gonna call him here, the more original translation, fan translation that everyone got. We're gonna just call him what he was there. For some reason, he was translated as Butts. I'm not sure why. I guess it was just a joke on the part of the translator. And a rock fell from the sky. And, Butts, being a slightly chivalrous guy, decides to not let her go alone. God knows what those goblins were actually planning to do with her. Let's see. Around here somewhere. There it is. Is a complimentary Phoenix down. Very easy to miss. And someone fell next to the meteor. Who could this be? He looks important. We saw him in that intro after all. And he has no idea what's going on. Except his name's Galuf. And some reason that shakes his memory. It's just, he's weird like that, Galuf, I guess. Now, you'll notice that there's a definite flavor for the character art that makes it very different than the sprites. This is typical of the early Final Fantasies, even up through 6. After 6, they tended to get things together better. But, oh, there they are. They're gone. Well, let's head back on the Chocobo. Well, one thing you'll notice is I will be running into things for reasons that are difficult to explain. Just for some reason, there's this minor amount of lag in my input that I can't explain. And what are you doing, Boko? On the other hand, that Chocobo art is brilliant. Arganageh. The noises these people make in the game are rather hilarious. But here's the actual tutorial fights. Again, very hard to actually lose these. Theoretically, maybe you could. I don't see how, but goblins can hurt. And a free level, and... oh, more goblins. This is just to get you to the into the flow of how this game works. Which is a standard ATB style Final Fantasy game. You know, wait versus active. In that, the difference is in wait mode, once your gauge is full, the game basically pauses, or can pause in the menu. Under active mode, it doesn't matter, it just continues ticking. Many people would prefer active to wait. We'll probably switch it over next time, but for now we'll run it like this. And even Boko agrees. Of course he does. The silly chocobo. But away we go. Apparently there used to be a path through. I'm gonna assume it was from here? But it's gone now. All that there is this cave. And I'm gonna spoil something. Final Fantasy V loves abandoning your modes of transportation. It does this multiple times. We just lost Boko. And an introduction to the occasional healing spring. And a more appropriate introduction to the battle system with multiple party members. Notice that Galuf, because he's bare-fisted, hits twice. That almost makes it competitive with the knife that Lena has. Almost. As you can see, these crabs, though, are having none of it. And an occasional recovery spring. I think this is one of the few springs in the game that does that, but there are other places. Now, currently at this point, everyone's levels are slightly desynced, but that's alright. They don't need to be on target, you know, perfect or anything. That would be silly. And Stropers. A lot of these designs, I've lately been playing a lot of other Final Fantasies, specifically 14. A lot of these early, for lack of a better term, Final Fantasy designs are continuing to crop up, and I enjoy it. There are plenty of references to 5 and other places. Well, we also picked up a cap. Since Galuf can't do any damage, we might as well keep him alive. I mean, that's the least we can do with the old man. Now, the thing about this one, and why the Fiesta in particular is for Final Fantasy V, is this game has a very delicate balance that makes it balanced, and basically all approaches are valid. Which the other Final Fantasies that have a job system aren't nearly so tightly tuned. Best example would be 3, which was the first one to have the job system. It's nowhere near as balanced as this one. 4, as some of you may know, just didn't have jobs, so it's balanced around a specific story. As a 6, 7 is 7. There's very few, actually, that have this job system in place, despite it being so iconic. Anyway, that ship. As we know, the wind crystal shattered. There is no wind anymore on the planet. There is no more wind, which means no rainfall. Any place that had windmills, they're now standing still. It's not pretty world anymore. And that's just assuming that only the wind crystal's affected. We saw it shatter, but somehow a sailboat still moves. And pirates. Lena has no idea about the world. And Galif's idea is just as worse. It's even worse than hers. Now, unfortunately, there's no place we can really go except to try and steal the pirate ship. And Butts is rather stupid and can't figure out how to make a boat move. Yes, the other character we've seen. Now, for those who haven't played the game, and have instead played other Final Fantasies, specifically 2, you might wonder, well, what is this Ferris person? Maybe they're part of the rotating 4th character? As 4 did a lot of rotating of just entire parties. But, oh. Random sprite change for, poor Lena. And Ferris recognizes that pendant. That's, not a good sign when we're talking about pirates. And Galif has gotten us all thrown into what is basically jail, if you know what Brig actually is about. Butts is not up on the particulars of the current geopolitical structure in Tycoon. Which is odd. Well, it makes sense. He's not from around Tycoon. But still. The plot thickens. Now, Final Fantasy V is as close as the series has gotten to a parody of itself. While the plot takes itself seriously, and the characters take itself seriously, it's not written in the most serious sense of the matter. You'll see what we're talking about as we rapidly run headlong into this plot. In pretty much any other Final Fantasy game, we would not have already gotten a mode of transportation, gotten rid of it, and heading to one of the 4 major objectives. another example is we are now, with Ferris giving us access to her boat by taking us to the Wind Shrine, we now have a full party of 4. In Final Fantasy IV, that didn't happen for a long time. The only one that I can think of that it did was 1, 2, or 3. And the secret. She's got a Hydra chained to the boat, providing them power. That sound effect is never gonna get old. It's just so high-pitched and just awesome. And we're introduced to our second form of transportation. Yes, within 15 minutes, we've gone from bird to boat. We haven't even had on foot. And then they do this, just in case you want to autopilot. Let's just have him go, because that's where we're heading anyway. There's not really much else we can do, despite having a boat. We can't really go anywhere else. I mean, there's one place we could go, but there's really no point. And here we are. Full party of 4, everyone level 3. First save. Let's go check out the Wind Shrine. I should probably disable that. Let's see. There. That's better. Sorry about that. Anyway, here's the Chancellor of Tycoon. I'm not sure how he got here ahead of everybody, but he somehow did. Yeah, 2 of your large political figures in the kingdom have made their way here, and no one has mentioned anything? No one thought this was a bad idea? There's some major political problems going on here. Also, free healing pot. That's more common than the spring. Also, free potions. Always get those. At this point in the game, those are our only healing that we're going to have. Not that anything in particular is going to hurt too much. I mean, we got some Moldwinds, some Black Goblins. So, nothing big. A tent, that's helpful. If we had a reason to use one. And the first save circle. The only place you can use tents in dungeons are in save circles, as you would expect. Now Ferris, as you've noticed, is equipped with not a knife, but a dagger. It's slightly stronger, and goblins drop shoes. Shoes are an accessory, as you would expect, and they do things. They do a lot of things. She also comes equipped with a shield. Not that that's that useful, but it is... Shields have uses. If you've got a class that can use them, that is. Nothing gives out a particularly large amount of experience. But, here we've acquired a broadsword. The companion of Galuf actually do something. Unfortunately, there's nothing for it but to face the first boss. This is the Wing Raptor. He's very weak, he has 250 health, but he has one minor gimmick. Other than attacking the entire party, but we'll see that shortly. I mean, we can see if we can one-cycle him, but I have very poor luck when it comes to that. I did it. But what he does is he covers himself up with his wings, which means you can't really attack him. You'll risk a counterattack, which is never pretty. It hurts, but I'm not, as you can see, not worried about doing anything at this moment. Because though we're slightly low on health, we don't need to worry too much. But here we are. The shrine and the crystals is dead. But the shards and the remaining crystals are going to do something. Something very, very important. And what's important for the Fiesta is there's also a natural version, which we're not doing, as I mentioned. As you can see, each character gets the essence of one of the crystals, which a natural run allows you to only use that character in that class for that crystal. Which means only Butts or Barts could use a wind job. Which wind jobs are good, but they're not great. Not compared to the other ones. Ah, but the essence of the king is not so easily lost. An evil is coming, as we can see by that. But the initial 6 jobs shall be ours. Titan Monk, Blue Mage, Thief, Black Mage, White Mage. And it's time to reveal what we have for our first job. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Black Mage opening. This is going to be helpful in that Black Mages have a lot of utility, but there's also, sadly, a sad fact about them. Black Mages can't heal. I mean, they don't have any healing magic. And the best thing you can do with a set of Black Mages is murder everything as quickly as you can. What also is annoying, they don't have, being a mage, they don't have any capabilities. But we'll cover more of that for next time. Till then, folks.